So, as many of you know, I've been following avidly this Bill Cosby, the William Cosby fiasco. And I call it a fiasco because it's a tragedy on so many levels. It's a tragedy not only because it exemplifies what happens when one man decides that his need, his lust for being a bully, someone who takes advantage of someone who can't say no on an ongoing basis for the sheer purpose of doing that person harm. I've been following this narrative because it epitomizes not only that, but also what happens when a conglomerate, when a business is somehow complicit with that. Because the thinking, and I hear this by so many different companies and HR departments that I work with, that there's this underlying premise that the person who is the bully, they are doing things that are untoward, that are perhaps not beneficial to their subordinates in some regards, but this person who is a bully is driving so many other results. They're doing so much good for the company, and the company is able to succeed in some regards thanks to this behavior. So we really can't do anything, or we really shouldn't do any training that would help that person and support that person to understand how and why they need to change their behavior. The Bill Cosby fiasco exemplifies that in so many ways. Because again, what I am stating is that many people in many departments, whether it was the network executives, whether it was the legal team, whether it was fellow colleagues, many people, or whether it was also people who were employed by Bill Cosby who helped him shuttle these women to and fro, whether it was the hotels, whether it was the cleaning ladies who had to afterwards come and try and put these rooms back together where these women had been brutalized, right? So there were so many people who had some suspicion of what was happening, but no one spoke up. And the thing that I think is just so incredibly tragic, the third point, is that one of the women, and I've been following her story, her headline has been, "Why did it take 30 years for me to be heard? Why did it take 30 years that I've been repeating this story and no one believes me? No one thought I was important enough for my story to be heard because it would actually be something that could damage someone, William Cosby, who was more important than I was." This third point is the one that I'd like to really spend a little more time with in this vlog, because I hear this so many times and it underscores what happens when a person finds themselves being targeted. Two things. One is that we know 62% of all HR departments do nothing when a person who is being targeted comes to them and reports bullying type behaviors in the workplace. Their stories are never even followed up on. And if they are, there's never even any response back to that person letting them know that there's been some kind of follow-up. And then the second point that I find to be one that we've got to shift the conversation about is that when a person finds themselves being targeted, there becomes this implicit belief that they are not enough, that they don't matter. And the torment that they begin to suffer as they find their life taken off course because of this bullying. The conclusion that is drawn is that it's okay, that your life will never be the same, that your life has somehow been tragically altered because you don't matter. Your voice is not one worth being heard. What I'm hoping that all of us who are following this story will do are three things. Listen. If someone is coming to you and telling you that they're being bullied in the workplace or some other place in their lives, listen to them and do something about it. The second call to action that I'm hoping that we will come together and do something about is that if you know someone and you suspect something is happening, don't be afraid to ask that person and encourage that person to remember that they matter. It can take a month, a year, or years even to affirm that person's sense of worth for them to internalize that they matter enough. And then the third thing that I'm hoping we will all remember is that if you find yourself being targeted by someone, especially who has more status, more control, more abilities to prove and make you feel that you're never going to be heard or believed, don't let that stop you. what Bill Cosby's fall from grace and the end of his brand legacy reveals is that it does not matter who you are. If you are bullying someone, you will, sooner or later, not only find the implications of these acts one that harms your legacy forever, but the person who is being targeted someday can find their voice, can find it within themselves. And it may take years, it may even take longer than the statute of limitations allows, but that person can and will take action against you and the company that's been complicit in that person being torn down. So tell us your thoughts. Tell us, what conclusions can you draw from how the Bill Cosby fiasco can enlighten all of us about the nuances that are implicit in bullying amongst bosses, bullying in the workplace, and bullying on a day-to-day basis in different people's lives, and the role that we play within all that.